Hello and welcome to the premium in the Court of the Wenton King. Thank you for applying the Patreon thing.
Yeah, unless you're watching this 6 months later.
Oh, and that'll come out anyway. Yeah. Sorry.
Subscribe to the channel at least if you if you like this kind of thing.
Yeah, we do struggle to remember things though, so whatever happens will happen. I thought we'd start this review actually with what will probably be a few weeks ago. I mentioned we've got a new HMV. HMV has returned to our hometown, and I was talking about the ridiculous prices of the vinyl. 30 quid for the wall. Some single albums are 30 quid. They vary quite a bit, but I mean, $18.99 is the cheapest you will get a vinyl of an old album, that you've probably already got. But so I used to like record shops. I used to like the physical looking through, finding, oh, they got this album. I haven't got the album I was looking for. Oh, they've got this one. What's this one? There's a bit of that which you can't do anymore. So I do like trying to do it, and it's HMV is better than it was at the end of its life when they just had, I'd look for Spocksbeard and it wouldn't even be a section. It'd just be more Britney Spears. Now they've got a bit of everything. It's not quite as good as it used to be, but still. And I actually, because we were talking about Genesis, I'll look through the Genesis, even though technically, but I haven't got Invisible Touch, I haven't got Genesis Revelation, and I haven't got Calling All Stations on CD. So and I actually had in my hand Invisible Touch. And I thought, well, it was £7.99. That's £7.99. So that's like €10, $10 ish, kind of. Well, not anymore. It's probably $7.99. And I walked around with it, but then my son picked up Archive. He liked the cover, so he said, I thought, well, okay, that was $9.99. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, it's a mixture of solo stuff, and I thought, okay, I can go with that, that's cool. But to be honest, very quickly I regretted it. As soon as I put it on, I realised, well, for a start, it's chronological, and that's a bad thing. To be honest, it doesn't. It's straight in the liner notes that Phil mentions. He says, well, over the years, the singles get too much attention, and it's nice to have some album tracks that get a bit more attention. These are all the singles. There's not even Home by the Sea. And the CD1, you got The Knife, Musical Box, Supper's Ready, and The Cinema Show. So they've just bunged them at the start, haven't they? Just dumped them in there. Yeah, we used to do that. Jesus, and then I Know What I Like, and then 3 tracks from The Lamb, and then Ace of Wands from Voyage of the Acolyte. But after that, it very quickly goes.
So you need CD1 essentially.
Yeah, and I'm someone who supports the other stuff, and it's okay, but bloody hell, I mean, In the Air Tonight, I've probably never. Of course, I've heard it. Everybody's heard it. It's awful. It's an awful song. It's horrible. I don't understand. Over My Shoulder. I thought, oh, that might be all right, actually. Everyone remembers that, don't they? Fucking hell. It's like the Lighthouse Family or something. It's the most soulless, empty drum machine programmed by a computer pop music I've ever heard. Boring. I'm really surprised. I don't know what I thought. I thought it'd be all right,
I think got some Tony Banks on there as well.
Yeah. There are some fantastic stuff on there. It's interesting, I think they've got 3 solo tracks each, which is interesting. Which ones have been chosen?
That's interesting. They've got Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, so the Signal to Noise, Biko, and Salisbury Hill are the 3. So there's no Sledgehammer. I suppose if there was a fourth one, it'd probably be Sledgehammer. I would think. So that's interesting. But CD3 starts with Invisible Touch, Land of Confusion, Tonight, Tonight, Tonight. By which time you're dead. And then The Living Years by I think Mike and the Mechanics are terrible. I think it's his fault. I think the horribleness, not Phil's fault. It's bloody Mike Rutherford's fault with his boring pop music. The best thing on that CD3, you've got Signal to Noise and Nomads by Steve Hackett. That's quite good.
Why is Peter Gabriel getting action on there?
Why
wouldn't Steve Hackett get some stuff on there?
Oh, he has.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, they've got 3 each. All 5 of them have got 3 tracks each, solo. So Phil has got, I don't know, In the Air Tonight, Easy Lover, and something I've never heard of. Can't find it, doesn't matter. Some Phil song. That's terrible as well, actually. Here we go. Wake Up Call. That's awful. It's terrible. And there's good stuff from that time, but it's like they've picked the famous songs. They've picked the singles and the famous songs, and I think that was a mistake. And it starts with Ripples and Afterglow.
CD2.
And that doesn't work either. You know? You're going to have some jamming before Afterglow, surely. Really, you should have In the Cage. Afterglow, that's what should happen. So yeah, horribly disappointed. You know, and bear in mind, I'm not one of these. They only did good stuff with Peter Gabriel people. You know,
I am.
Yeah. Like I said before, I will listen to any Genesis album. They're really. I will listen to any Genesis album, but this is horrible, and I regretted it straight away. I should have got Invisible Touch because I still haven't got Invisible Touch. Whereas this, it's just a bloody compilation, isn't it? You know, years ago I would never have bought a compilation. But yeah, we are supposed to be reviewing, of course, something far greater, something far more important and special in the specialness. For it is Nursery Cryme. Best cover of any Genesis album. It is.
I can, you know.
Well, it is. Well, but
why not just call Storm up and say, just do us now one cover, will you? That's.
I know. It seems. Well, this is the thing, that those prog album covers are mostly terrible. That's the best, one of the very best ones. It's hilarious. But I mean, you name a Genesis album with a better cover that's not in the 80s. There isn't one. You know? And they just ended up with abstract shapes later on, didn't they? Which is probably a better idea. New drummer, new guitarist. They did go as a 4-piece for a couple of months, including a writing session, very significantly as a 4-piece with Phil. Obviously it wasn't practical to do that live. It was very important, I think, in that Tony Banks had to fill in lead guitar, so he started doing proggy two-handed gubbins, which apparently he didn't really do before that. So that's a thing, you know. But ultimately they had to get a new guitarist, which is of course Steve Hackett. So we've got these two new players on the scene who are much less conservative. And that makes a big difference to the sound. You know, like with the Trespass review, we said it's all established, it's all there. But there is, and yet there is a thing here with the playing. But it is really about the playing, I think. Or you know, it opens it out, so stuff happens with the playing that makes it more interesting. Whereas before that wouldn't happen. It was just about the composition. Apparently, it was a struggle to make. I don't know how we're going to egg this one. We'll get to that. I mean, you know, it features. You could say that it features the definitive moment of the Gabriel era, which in itself is, you know, and it features what I think is B-sidedy stuff. It's not filler, but it is B-sided stuff. So it's very, very up and down. Unlike Trespass, which is very consistent. But yeah, it's much more dynamic. It's much less staid and pretty, and much more stuff is happening. You know, because of the band. You have to remember with Trespass, I mean, they were only just a band. They only just become a band at that point. They've been touring a bit. And obviously, there's some fantastic drumming moments. Everything's there, actually, with this one. And when I say everything's there, with Trespass, I'm saying, well, the Gabriel era is there. You can hear it. But with this one, the whole of Genesis is there. I mean, Harold the Barrel, is it that different to, you know, Robbery and Salt and Battery? Really? Is it? Even Turn It On Again or something? Is it, you know? So in a sense, it's all there. The whole of Genesis is established already. And Phil is singing on a song. You know? It's not, he didn't sneak in and then before Peter left he started singing songs as well. He was singing from the start because he could sing. And it was good. There's other reasons for that we'll probably talk about. And an all-time epic is on there. Well, two all-time epics, actually, in different ways.
Yeah, I think it's very... I don't think I'm going to be controversial here when I say there's not much between this and Foxtrot.
No, I know.
Good stuff, some really good stuff, and some quite stuff. Yes, unfortunately. So the drumming's changed. They've got a new guitarist. They've got a Moog. Is it a Moog?
A Moog. Oh, it's Mellotron.
Mellotron, sorry.
Yeah.
They got a Mellotron, which they bought from King Crimson. and it gives a less folky sound. The folkiness is still there, definitely.
Yeah.
It does. You get the sense there are a bunch of guys that get together who assumed that they were going to write folk songs, and found out actually we're a rock band.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. When they started putting it together, which is, I don't know. They also seem very focused on the market. You know, they were hungry for success. Yeah. They wanted to write popular songs. So maybe that was just them transitioning from what they're comfortable with as stiff upper class Charterhouse boys who are used to singing hymns in church to actual real life rock things.
What is it? Oh God, please don't maim us or put us on the bonfire. I can't remember.
Oh Lord, ooh, you are so big. So absolutely huge. And well, just fantastic.
Don't put us on the barbecue.
Or stir fry us in a wok. Anyway, also, what seems to be new is the thing I love about the Peter Gabriel area is the stories and the ideas. Yeah. I bloody love it. I mean, that is just comes from a very traditional education sort of thing.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
And it's quite strong on here, especially for the one track which we're obviously going to talk about.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre story.
It is actually very traditional. You're right. Yeah.
But it is very sort of like traditional and cool. But I struggle. You mentioned Harold the Barrel. I struggle. It's really boring.
Yeah.
Actually, that whole side really.
Yeah. 4, 5, and 6
are really quite
a bit boring.
But yeah. So I mean, it's the other Foxtrot really.
Yes.
It's the sort of everything's there for what's going to be absolutely awesome, and actually that moment of awesomeness that we've already reviewed, which we're going to review again, aren't we?
I think so eventually. Yeah.
Which we'll review again. I actually think the stories on here are better than some of the stuff on there. Yeah, I think they're a lot more memorable.
Well, it's almost the first time he was doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there's a lot of cool stuff on there. So yeah. Don't know what else I can say really.
Yes.
Phil Collins, Steve Hackett.
Yeah. And he sings a song. And I don't know if this is in retrospect, but Steve Hackett does say he wrote a song. He didn't want to ask Peter Gabriel to sing it because it's Peter Gabriel, isn't it? Yeah. So he got Phil to sing it. And that's why for Absent Friends is it's actually the two new guys. I don't think there's anyone else on it. It's just guitar and vocals. I think it might be. So it's just the two of them. So that's an interesting stuff. Of course, Phil was right from the start. They realised he could sing. He sounds like Peter Gabriel, but he's kind of the different timbre of the same voice.
Yeah, it's pretty strange.
Yeah, and that's so key, of course, to Supper's Ready. Is one of the key things about Supper's Ready is Phil's voice on top of Peter's. Gives it that weird voice.
Yeah. Should we talk about track one, or you got more stuff?
Yeah, let's talk about track one. Let's do. Yeah, it's a musical box written by all three guitarists. Well, it's written by all of them actually, but all three guitarists contributed. So Anthony Phillips, there was early bits and pieces he did, and we know Mike Rutherford did the dun, 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 dun stuff, and that's actually a guitar where 3 strings are tuned to F sharp. It sounds great. And obviously Steve Hackett did the musical box sound, the stuff. So they've all contributed to that, and it's got Peter Gabriel's repressed Victorian. It's a definitive statement of that, and it is Victorian. That's what he says. That very repressed thing and all that works so well, and it's the Tony Banks composition and the at the end is all there in 10 minutes, not 26 minutes, 10 minutes.
And we spoke about it before. Genesis have great moments. Yeah, 666 in Supper's Ready and whatnot. And this has a great moment, which actually, have we seen it? I'm sure we've seen it live somewhere.
Yeah, of course you have. Yeah, the Selling England shows.
Oh, right, yeah, of course. I mean, it's actually even better live.
Well, yeah, because later on, not at this point, but later on. At this point, he first he just sung it, and then he did it with the dress and the fox's head. But of course, later on, he dressed up as an old man. Little did they know that Phil. Well, actually, no, Peter Gabriel didn't actually do it in the end, obviously, but Phil did sing that and did look much like the old man. Peter Gabriel very much.
Yeah, great. Well, it's worth buying the album for, isn't it?
That's the thing.
Why is it track one? Why track one?
Yeah, and that is the problem. He's one of those, like Achilles' Last Stand. It's one of them where the first song is like, oh my god! And you think, well, it ends. Imagine if you've bought the album for the first time, it ends. That's like, dun, 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 dun. Oh, there's other songs. Listen to that one again. I don't care about it. And I bet there'd be a lot of that where people would have listened to the first song over and over again and barely heard the rest of the album for a while, and then they'll go back to it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. But it also invented Iron Maiden, and that's not just a joke or a musical thing. It really did invent Iron Maiden in that Steve Harris listened to that song, and the melody as well. It's Iron Maiden. It's all of Iron Maiden. You don't need anything else now. That's what they sound like. Hogweed is a much loved track, and of the sort of second tier songs, I've never been a massive fan of it. I really like it. It's really cool. I'd take Can Utility or probably White Mountain. Looking for Someone, certainly over Hogweed personally, and I think most people would put Hogweed above those maybe. But yeah, Seven Stones, Harold the Barrel and Harlequin, meh. There's some great playing on them, the sound of the band is there and all that. The songs are incredibly
yeah.
And there's no ending. The songs just stop. They don't have endings, which is telling. I think they were struggling to put things together. Seven Stones, out of those three, Seven Stones is the best one. Because there's some fantastic playing on there, and it's really the drumming. It's musical box really, but the arrival of Phil there, he's doing Michael Giles, he's doing King Crimson, the stop-start stuff, and I thought maybe he's making it sound like just flourishes, but he doesn't want them to realise he's actually doing King Crimson. I don't think so. I think they were big on King Crimson at this point. They bought their Mellotron. And there's an awesome Mellotron moment on Seven Stones as well. He's probably one of the best bits of the album, actually. But the song, I couldn't even tell you how it goes. It's just something. Peter Gabriel couldn't think of anything to sing. No one could think of a melody. And Harold the Barrel is a lot like Robbery, Assault and Battery. And Harlequin again. There was Twilight Alehouse. They didn't record it until Foxtrot, but it was written before. That's much better than any of those three songs. So it's one of those things where it just got lost. It never ended up on an album. It ended up a B-side. They probably should have used that, I think. Probably had 6 tracks and got rid of Harold the Barrel and Harlequin. But of course, it's such a big album. People are going to be sitting thinking, "How dare you know it's perfect? It's Nursery Cryme. Can't change Nursery Cryme."
Well, it's sort of. This is a new line. You replace a drummer and a guitarist. That's a major change. And was this the album, the only album they ever rehearsed? Took time out to actually write music for.
It might be properly, yeah. Where they actually took time off to write,
which is obviously a new thing for them. Because obviously the last one they toured before
they recorded it,
just in case of putting it down.
Record,
So it's understandable that there's some tracks on there where they're finding what they can do, and new instruments are involved, and new personalities who are thrown into this. Phil seemed to adapt to it really well. Because he's a workaholic. I think Steve Hackett was a bit.
What's going on? What are they talking about? This weird posh language. Just something. You can. I mean, that's the thing. Phil is just—he's just Phil, and he's right, Phil.
I'll just drum everything.
That's the thing. No one. It's like when he took over from Peter Gabriel. I mean, what an achievement! The drummer just coming to the front. I mean, wow, but no one says that. That's what's Phil, isn't it? Again. But it's always like poor Steve Hackett having to put up with these people, this posho. He sort of enjoyed it. And he was going to leave because they never told him he was good. At the start of Foxtrot, no, we do think you're good. We want you to stay. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Should we talk about? Phil came first, isn't he? You know, Phil's the famous. It's the famous scene. You can picture it. Can't you? I've heard it so many times that he comes to the audition but he arrives early. You see, because that's what he does. He comes with his mate. Oh, what's his name?
Oh, I can't remember.
His friend, guitarist friend.
Yeah.
And they both auditioned. So it seemed logical if they're looking for a guitarist and a drummer. They're a duo, you know. But he got the job and his guitarist friend didn't. But obviously, so he said, "Well, do you want to have a dip in the pool? We've got a swimming pool." And you think the world he was coming from in Flaming Youth, you know, and he said, he does joke about it, but it must have been like, "Oh man, I've got to stay in this band. This is great." I'm going to swim. But what they were doing, and this is the thing, there was nothing wrong with John Mayhew's drumming. We said this, didn't we? Mm. But he couldn't adapt fast enough. What they needed, what they really wanted, they didn't want a creative person. They now say they did, but they didn't. They wanted like a session drummer. Mm. They want someone they can say, "Just play this." There's enough creativity in the band already. Yeah. It's all very difficult, so they don't want another hand in the pot, you know. But of course, Phil came early, listened to all the auditions, knew exactly what was coming, so he could do it. Actually, which turns out to be wonderful because obviously Phil is such a creative drummer and actually adds so much to the music. With his drumming ideas, is so important. It's like the Michael Giles thing about why shouldn't he have a writing credit if what he's doing is. He isn't just keeping the beat, he's doing all this stuff. That's part of the music, isn't it? You know. But yeah, because his drummer friend didn't get the job, he's permanently looked after his guitarist friend. He's always been in his band, or I think at one point maybe been his driver or something as well. And there was a thing later on about when Phil got in boring musicians to play in his band, and they were moaning about this other guy who said, "Well, he's dirty guitarist, not playing well, blah blah blah," and Phil will say, "Well, take it or leave it." You know, that's when he's working, the guitarist is working as well. So it is nice to see that someone actually doing that rather than just forgetting about them forever. Yeah. Steve Hackett found it very stressful. He got the job, but I think and this is the thing, how much of it was already established on the previous album. And so thinking about what Steve Hackett brought to the band is a bit subtle, and it becomes obvious later, I think. But obviously that the lyrical guitar is on there. It's kind of on the previous album as well, though it's better on this one. And he found it very stressful. And apparently, at the end of the first gig he did, he thought he'd blown it. He apparently made lots of mistakes, and he was just still sitting there, and they'd all left. He was still sitting there on the stage, shell-shocked. Whether that was because they were so already really wobbly live anyway, because they had because of the different drummer and the different guitarist, and so they didn't notice, or what, I don't know. Maybe he was just very self-critical. Production sucks. I think it's horrible.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's really noticeable, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, even I think Rolling Stone in their review, for once, it was a really insightful thing they said, probably unintentionally. They say, "Oh, the playing is great, the songs are brilliant, production sucks." It's just mud. Part of the problem, though, and on my original CD, this one, definitive edition, I thought there was something wrong with my CD because the vocals were so low in the mix. It was just infuriating. The musical box, my God, you know. And that's why I had to go out and find live versions, because and Fountain of Salmacis had the same problem, and all the remixes, the controversial remixes, basically what they've done is turn the vocals up on all the albums, but here it's a good job because you can hear what he's singing, but I mean still it still sounds muddy. Those remasters are controversial, obviously, because it was about making it louder and about bringing the vocals out and making the clarity, so you don't have the wide pastoraliness as much, and but from people sitting in a room either on headphones or in a big room listening to it on a big stereo isn't really a thing anymore. So people don't really listen like that. They listen on a computer or they listen in the car and things like that. So you need to be able to hear it. I just want to hear it. I just want to hear what's being played. So I buck the trend with that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, something occurred to me because you've been doing Thrack, and I actually listened to the Thrack remix again, and I realised the Genesis remixes, they turn up the vocals. The King Crimson remixes, they turn up the drums. Yeah. And I noticed the 5-1 Thrack.
Should we egg this sucker then?
Very difficult.
Oh, we could upset some people here.
Well, okay. Well, Foxtrot is 6 eggs. I've no doubt about that. Foxtrot is much more consistent though. There's nothing. I mean, Timetable is not the best thing on Foxtrot, but it's still good. I'd take Timetable over Harold the Barrel and Harlequin.
6 eggs, Kev.
Foxtrot, yeah.
Foxtrot's equal to Selling England and The Lamb.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Well, yeah, 6 eggs. Oh, the next one's better. Well, it's 6 eggs again, isn't it? What do we do? 7 eggs. Yeah, the first side is 6 eggs, and the second side is 4 eggs. We haven't talked about Fountain of Salmacis, which is fantastic. Fountain of Salmacis is I think the later Tony Banks thing. So kind of Lamb, Trick of the Tail, Wyndham Wuthering, Tony Banks. I think. Interestingly, so it's very keyboardy and much less folky.
That ruins it, Kev. You can't give it 6 eggs because.
No, the first side is 6 eggs. The second side is 4 eggs.
Okay, that kind of.
Perhaps it's 3 eggs for the
You
second.
want Foxtrot 6, Selling England 6, Lamb 6.
Yes, and the
6,
others
6,
5.
6.
I think that's a. What did I give Trespass? Was it 5?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it has
can't
to be
remember
5.
actually.
Yeah, well, if I go Trespass 5, this might be 5 as well. Yeah, it's early Genesis, isn't it? It's awesome.
I actually prefer Trespass to this.
It's more consistent.
Yeah.
I've always said this. This is the thing. Whilst there are awesome moments on there,
Yeah.
it is wobbly. It is so is Sergeant Pepper.
I think there's a real danger with this album that Genesis turned into a band where you put an album on and you're listening for the good song.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Which at the start, so
it's sort of like, wow. Well, yeah, but that's not a good place for a band to be in, is it?
Yeah.
Sort of like, oh, we've made this one good song and we've 5 other songs.
You have to remember from their perspective, it was on off with the early albums. So Trespass was easy. This was hard. So the bits they weren't that happy with, and then Foxtrot was easy, and then Selling England, there was bits they weren't happy with. That certainly the 3 of them don't consider Selling England to be much of a success. It's quite funny, really.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Hackett recognises it as a thing.
I'm going to give this 4.
Bow, wow. Did you give Trespass 4?
I can't remember.
No, I can't remember. It doesn't really matter. It's just talking about the album, man.
Yeah, man.
It's certainly more. It is more Tony Banks than the previous album. You can see how Anthony Phillips left, so he thought, "Oh, I can have that bit now as well." As he slowly muscles his way throughout the whole band to write all. Yeah, it's a great album. Obviously, we all know that. Nursery Cryme. There you go.
Here we go. We've done it. Finally.
More premium stuff will be coming your way. We are thinking of doing some commentaries of famous bits of video. We don't think full concerts. It's too long. But things like the Shepperton 73 footage or King Crimson, one of the Wenton era footages, possibly Beat Club or maybe Central Park 73, maybe, I don't know, maybe one of them anyway will be interesting because it's a bit shorter. We can talk about what's happening and maybe.
Exciting.
Cheers.